So, Tsunami Sharks, directed by Ben J. Williams. And this is clearly a low-budget British response to the movies like Sharknado. So, the movie is produced by Tyler James. Now, the production company is actually Jagged Edge Productions, which is owned by Scott Jeffrey, aka Scott Chambers, the prolific B-movie producer who produced, among others, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. And I suspect even he knows that this movie is so awful, he doesn't want his pseudonym, his original pseudonym attached to it, so he goes by the name of Tyler James, or at least that's my speculation, because I'm not going to bury the lead here. This movie is awful. So, what's the story? Well, we have a city which is clearly London. We see St Paul's Cathedral and even a street sign saying it's a borough of London, but they call it some other city for some reason. Anyway, it has these flash tsunamis that ends up kind of, catching people out, getting them trapped, because there's actually sharks in the water, despite the fact we don't really have any dangerous sharks off the coast of the UK. Occasionally you might get something at the very kind of bottom of the southwest, but very rarely. And it focuses on this family who is split up into three different storylines, all of whom are trapped by water and sharks. What'll happen? You'll have to watch the movie and find out. So, before we dive into it, can I be charitable about this movie in any way? Can I say anything positive? Okay, this is a low-budget movie, and there are one or two occasions where I thought some of the VFX seemed okay. One or two occasions that I think it seemed okay. There's a couple of shots, I think, where the sharks don't look too bad. And if you're going to be accepting of low budget VFX, I mean, I don't know specifically how much this one cost to make, but I know how much these movies generally cost to make, and it's a lot lower than you think. And there's one or two shots where you think, okay, I can accept this is a low budget movie and the water effects aren't great, but maybe I can kind of get away, maybe I can kind of ignore that. That's your attitude, then some of this stuff might sort of not be as bad. I like the fact that we have different members of the family that are in different places, and it kind of like oscillates between, these kind of different scenarios. But let's not kid ourselves, okay? This movie is very, very hard to be positive about. Right. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it as compared to Sharknado, right? Now, I'm not a fan of to be honest with you, the sillier shark movies, the over-the-top ones, Sharknado, Snow Sharks, things like this, Mega Shark, Two-Headed Shark. I'm not really a fan. But at least with Sharknado, it knew the movie that it was going to be. It knew it was a silly, stupid, schlocky, over-the-top B-movie. And as such, it kind of played into that, and it had some fun with the genre. It's self-aware. This one plays it straight. So you don't even have that camp sort of silliness. Although it is silly, but not kind of almost intentionally. So that's the first thing. Now, we've already had a tsunami shark movie in the form of Bait, and even you could say Under Paris had a degree of that. Right, so, okay, let's just get the obvious things out of the way. So it's obviously set in London. Mostly people speaking in a British accent, but to obviously appeal to American audiences, we have a couple of people randomly speaking in an American accent. It tries not to say it's in London because it wants to be in an international movie, but yeah, it's London. But we don't have tsunamis in London, we don't, or the Britain for that matter. We don't really have sharks in the way that this movie depicts in Britain, or off the coast of Britain. We get basking sharks maybe, but not sort of great whites and stuff, or at least very rarely. Not in the degree that you'll see here. But I can accept it. You know, it's climate change and all of this. Maybe you can kind of accept that kind of setup. Okay, fair enough. So, you know, we can just pretend that this is the thing. Okay, fine. This movie is, this movie's structure looks like it's been hacked to pieces. So the opening scene is a woman in a taxi surrounded by water, and she just kind of wakes up, and there's already a tsunami. And we deal with that little scene, and then it's not a tsunami anymore. Okay, so then we have, we were introduced to this family, and we have three different members of the family, really. We've got the mum, who's at home, and she gets her kind of like, her new boyfriend that comes over. We've got the daughter, who's out on a night out with her friends. And we've got the son, who's working in a kind of restaurant somewhere in the kitchen. And this, all of a sudden, this tsunami happens again, and everyone's caught unawares. Straight away, there's like that, there's like water everywhere. And, okay, so there was no warning whatsoever. There just was water. And it's not really like there's this tidal wave of destruction. It's just like the water just appears. And so they've used a little bit of stock footage to show, like, you know. But, you know, as far as our scenes of our characters are concerned, there's just like, out the window you see like CGI water. Okay, no one knew this was going to happen. This was a complete surprise. And then there's sharks there. Okay. No other kind of animals. No other sort of sea life. No other fish. Just sharks. Okay. Okay, so, and then this CGI water sort of breaks in. Now, I'm going to kind of like speculate here. I suspect that Jagged Edge Productions found some program that can kind of like put in like CGI water over a sort of, you know, over a video, and it'll detect where like streets and stuff are and therefore fill in the gaps. That's why I think this movie's impetus comes from. This is where I think, oh, we've got this program now that kind of can detect where streets are and fill it in with water. So let's write a movie about it. That's kind of what I think's happened. My speculation. But there you go. Yeah, so almost immediately everyone's kind of trapped in water. They've all got like cuts and things over them, but like, for example, there's like no smashed windows, there's no wreckage or anything like that. They've just got like cuts and things all over them. Everything else, if you look behind the CGI, it's all immaculate. Let's talk about that CGI water, because when people go in it and then come out of it, they're completely dry. There's no drips, there's no wet clothes, nothing. The sharks are just kind of like, with a couple of exceptions where I think sometimes the CGI looks alright, in a couple of exceptions. You know, it's like the bare minimum in regards to rendering, in regards to these sharks. Some of them look like they shouldn't be in such shallow water, because the water should really only be like about a foot tall, as you compare it to like, you know, chair legs and things like that. But yeah, regardless, there's large sharks in this water. Doesn't make sense. We have horrible acting. Everyone's sort of overacting and acting sort of cheesy, but there's no real characterization. We just kind of like thrown with these characters and, you know, whatever. They're just kind of there. You've got loads of red shirts who are obviously going to kind of just like, you know, are there to be killed and things. The deaths are mostly off screen, and you'll see sort of people like, ah, and then you'll see like the blurry image of a shark, and then that's it kind of thing. So don't expect any kind of like actual gore or any work done in these kind of like sort of kill sequences and things like this. The editing is just choppy, as I say, like the scene at the beginning, and they're just like jarring edits and things. The story is completely kind of nonsensical and just very, but at the same time, extremely obvious and very uninspiring about what's actually going to happen. I mean, it's just a disaster of a movie, and you know, I kind of like bad movies to a large degree, but you have to be realistic about it. This is like the minimum effort, and this is why I think we've even got this Tyler James. Sounds very kind of like a real person, instead of Scott Jeffrey, which is actually a pseudonym for Scott Chambers, because he doesn't want his name associated with this, and this is why it's debuted on YouTube. It's a 2 out of 10. This is a terrible movie. Even if you like bad shark films, this is a bomb of the barrel situation. 2 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.